So guys, in this video we are going to see the SQL queries. So what are all the basic queries that we need to use in the day by day programming, like in or maybe if it is SQL or Oracle or MySQL, whatever that RDBMS that we are using, what type of query that we will use and how we can use it efficiently. All these things we are going to see one by one, but this is specifically for the beginners. So here we are going to see like the basic four operations, like inserting the data, selecting the data, and then updating the data, deleting the data, and at last we will see joining the two tables. So when there is the two tables are available, how are we going to join these things? Okay, all these things we are going to see in this video. Okay, fine. So first of all, we have to know like what are the topics, as I mentioned, what is database we are going to see, and how to create a table, how to insert the data into the table, select the data, updating the data, and then at the last we will see how to delete the table, or we can say drop the table. Okay, so what is first we have to see like what is database. A database is a system which helps us to store the data. So whatever the data that we are having in our application, that has to be essentially coming from our database only. So it may be the Gmail application, or it may be any other application, whatever the application that we are using. Ultimately the data, so data has to come from database only. Okay, so here relational, there's a two major database available in the market. One is relational database, another one is NoSQL database, actually, as you can see here. Okay, this relational database is like a very traditional way of implementations. Like most of the applications in our web applications always using this relational database. So it's like a structured data into tables with columns and rows. So whenever we are if you are having a proper structured data in your application, then we can go for this RDBMS, so which is storing that. It's like an Excel sheet, right? So it's like a table. In the RDBMS also we'll have a row and columns, which we are going to real-time implementation. We are going to see it now, and it provides more effective and versatile approach to access the structured data. So examples are Oracle, MySQL, Microsoft SQL, PostgreSQL. These are all the examples for RDBMS. Then we can come to the NoSQL. So currently this NoSQL is little popular in terms of unstructured data. So when you want to save unstructured data, then we can go for this NoSQL database. So NoSQL stands for not only SQL, so which means we don't need to use SQL ultimately. So NoSQL database can handle a wide range of data models, and a semi-structured data stored in NoSQL, like NoSQL database are the ones that do not store data as row and column. So in the NoSQL, generally they will not follow the rules like RDBMS. In RDBMS, we have to use the proper structure while storing the data. So if the first row has this name, email, means next row also should have that same row cell, and whether we can provide the value or not, it's not necessary. But when it comes to NoSQL, that is not the case. Maybe the first object may have some data, the second object may have a different data, actually. Okay, so that is also possible in the NoSQL database. So the main examples for the NoSQL database is MongoDB, and then CouchDB and Couchbase. These are all the major examples that we can see for the NoSQL databases. Okay, I hope you understand. In case if you have any doubts or anything, just post in the comments. I will explain you. Okay, fine. Now we are in this video we are going to see MySQL. Okay, but before that we have to check like how to set up the MySQL. Yeah, before that we need to see the how to set up the MySQL in your system. In case if you are having a MySQL in your system already, that is fine. If not, then just go to the Google and search for MySQL community server, which is free to install. No need to commercial or anything. Just to go to Google and try search for MySQL download community server, and by searching it, you will have the first link itself. It will navigate to the MySQL community server. So just by going to the link, it will show you what is the current OS that you are using. So if you are using Windows or if you are using Mac or Linux, then you have to select the operating system. By default, it selects the operating system based on the browsing that you are doing. In case if it is not, then you have to select the operating system. Then try to download the recent versions, which is adaptable for you based on the processor that you are having and based on the bit. What type of bit that you are using. Ultimately, then you can download the server in your system. You can install it the way how we are installing the other software as well. So once you install, during the installation, it asks you the username and password. You have to configure. Okay, so during the installation, it asks you the username and password. So whatever the username and password you are providing, it is must that you should note it down, because whenever we are connecting our database with other programming languages not only for other programming languages. When we want to execute queries, that username and password we have to provide for each and every login. Okay, whenever we are trying to open the connecting the Workbench server with, MySQL server with from your system, we have to provide the username and password. So whatever the username and password you are providing during the installation, it is must that you should know it. Okay, fine. So now I am having an editor called Workbench, which is coming along with your installation, MySQL installation. So this Workbench, by default, it has the local configuration, which connects with your local server. So by clicking this box, it will ask you the password. This password, as I mentioned, you have to provide during the installation. So whatever the password that you are having, try to give it while clicking on this box. So already I have given my password. So now the database instance started immediately, and I can able to see all the databases which I have created. So these many databases I have created in my system, so I can able to see all these things. Maybe if it is new installation for you, you may not have these many things. You may have only 4 or 5 basic things will be available. Okay, so I have worked in a lot of database, so it's giving all the database here actually here. Okay, fine. So now we will move on to the next implementation, which means how to create a database, because database is the base concept for the SQL. So first we need to see how to create a database. So as I'm using a Workbench editor, we can directly go to the GUI editor and I can create it. Otherwise we can give the query also. If it is come to the query, we can mention create database. I will mention like October 2023 to, like this I can mention. Okay, so what this will do, this will create a database with the name of October 2023 to just execute it. For execution, you there's a lots of shortcuts is there. You can press Control Enter. It may be any operating system. Just press Control Enter. This query will execute it. Otherwise, you have this execute icon. We will select the query that you want to execute. Select this line. This will create a this will execute a query. Okay, whatever the query that you want to execute it. Okay, so this is how we can execute a query, as well as I have created a database also. Let me show you the database once again. I think I need to refresh it. Yeah, as you can see here, my database is created properly. Okay, so this is how we have to create our database in our system. Okay, so there's a one more way also available in the, if you are using Workbench editor. So in the Workbench editor, we have the option called creating the database by the UI tool itself. So here we have the database icon. Can you see here? There's a small icon will be there. So by clicking that icon, there's a database icon will be there in top of the window. By clicking the icon, it shows you the window of how to, one second, maybe I will increase the zoom. So now it's asked you what is the schema that you want to create. Here you need to provide the database name that you want to create. So once you have done, you have to provide the apply button here. Can you see this apply button here? By clicking the apply also, this will be able to create a database for you as well. Okay, so either you can done manually by giving the query, or you can provide the name here itself. It's your wish. If you want to use the query, it is also possible. If you want to use going with the editor, it is also possible. So it's all your wish, which is comfortable for you, that you can use it. Okay, let me close this one. Okay, I don't want to execute the query, so I'm just giving don't save and go back to the editor. Okay, fine. So this is how we have to create a database, because without database we cannot execute our query. So it is must that we should select our database. Okay, so once we create our database, we have to select the database. Selecting the database means whatever the query that I am going to execute in this query editor, that has to impact only on this particular database. In case if you are not selecting any database, then it will give you one error like database is not selected or something. Otherwise, if other database is selected, means whatever the query that you are executing, that will hit that database. So it is always must that you should select the database here, and you have to work in that. You understood it? Okay, first we need to select the database, then only we have to execute the query. So here there is a query called use, and we need to mention the database name. So whenever you are going to execute a query, it is must that we should select the database by using the command called use and then database name here like this. Okay, so we have to provide like this. Otherwise, our query will not execute properly in the as our database. It will execute in some other places, some other databases actually, if it is not selected. For example, if you see here, the thick bold black color is there, no? This is called current database, which means currently selected database here. Okay, so this whatever the query that I am going to execute, it will be impact on this database. But as of now we have created this database, the second one. So we have to select this one, right? So in order to select this one, there is a one option is like I can have to provide this use database name. This will select the database. So as you can see here now, this database is getting selected. Otherwise there is a one more option, just by clicking the mouse cursor as a double click, it is also selected. Okay, the one way is we have to use the command called use and the database name, which will impact which will select the database. Otherwise you can just double click here and this will also select the database. Okay, so like this we have to select the database, whatever the query that you want to execute on the particular database. This is second step. First step is we have to create a database. Second step is we have to select the database. Okay, so fine. I think once again guys. Okay, some message I getting. Okay, fine. Now we will go for the queries actually. Okay, so now we have created a database, we have selected the database, we will go for how to create a table as well. Okay, let me go to this. Okay, so now we have to see the data types in SQL. Okay, what is data type in our SQL and why we need it? Okay, so whenever we are going to store the data in our application, it is must that we should know what is a data type, correct? For example, you want to store the integer, what type of data that you are going to use, and if you are going to store float like decimal values, means what type of data that we can use, and binary images or binary files, PDF files, if we want to store what type of data that we are going to store. All these things we have to know, which is called data types. So when it comes to data type, in MySQL, we used to have a varchar, which is we need to provide the length also. In the varchar, we need to provide the length, like how many characters that you want to store, and then integer from the name itself we will understand this is specifically for the whole numbers, and then small int. So it is like if you want to have some small type of integer, I don't think, yeah, it is available. And then we have a numeric, then real, double precision, and then float also will be available. Then apart from this, it has date and time, boolean, that is also available. Okay, this is not only this one. Maybe I will show you while creating the table. We have a boolean, we have a text data will be available, and then the blob also available. Okay, so a lot of things are available. We will see one by one while creating the table. Okay, so now we will see how to create the table in our MySQL with the appropriate queries. Okay, so when it comes to create table, okay, this is the query that we need to provide. Okay, so what is the query structure means? Create table is the exact syntax that we need to provide. We should not avoid it. It has to be like this only. Then we have to use table name. Whatever the table name that you want to use it, we have to mention it here. Then open bracket, and then we need to mention the square close bracket. In between, we need to mention the field name. Okay, field name is nothing but what type of field that you want to use it. One second, guys. Okay, what type of field that you want to use it. Like in the now here in this example, I am going to create a employee table here. Okay, so when it comes to employee table, I am going to use like their ID, name, department name, salary. Okay, so this is what the data that you want to use. Sorry, the table column I need to create. Then we need to provide like this. Okay, so here what I am going to do, I just copy everything here and go to the workbench editor. So okay, one more thing, the editor which I am using here, right? This is just for I am using this editor. In case if you are using some other editor, that is also fine. Like for example, I think there is lots of popular editor also available. If you want to use it, I can use it, but I forget it. Like MySQL Forge or something. Some other editors also available. If you want to use it, it is also you can use it. Okay, fine. Now I am just pasting the query here. So create table, and then this is the table name. Generally, whenever we are going to create any database operations, we have to use the naming standard. Either we have to use all these columns as all this column name, table name has to be caps. Otherwise, you can use it all the columns as a small case. So generally people will not prefer to use camel case because of the case sensitive thing. So here I am going to use small case only. Yes. If you want to use uppercase, then try to use for all the characters has to be uppercase only. Okay, fine. So now, and the same goes for the column as well. So this is the column name, which is called ID I am providing, and the name, department name, salary. Okay, this is the table that I am going to create it, and yes, let me create it. Is it created? So to see the status of this query, you can see this green color symbol, correct, in the bottom of this window, which means the result window. You can see here the bottom of the window I am getting a green color symbol, which means it shows that query is executed successfully. So now our table is created inside our database called this one. So to see this one, we just refresh it because it is not refreshed. Yeah, now as you can see here, my table is created which is called employee, and inside the employee table, if you want to see the columns, just by expand this one, you can see the column name here, id, name, department name, salary. So which is everything is properly working. Now our table is created. Okay, so this is how we can create the table in our MySQL in the database as well. Okay, so now we will go for the next one, which means how to insert the data. Now we have created that table, that is fine, but we have to insert the data into table, right? So in order to insert the data into the table, we have to use the query called insert into the employee. Okay, so whatever the table that we have created, accordingly we have to insert it. If we are providing a column name which is not is available in the table, then it will throw you error. For example, in the table I am having id, name, department name, salary. So the same column name I have to mention it here, then only I can able to you know. Okay, the query is correct, only the problem is with the I think I don't know how to select the how to execute the selected query. Okay, so now you might understand how it works. Okay, there is no issue, our query is working fine by changing the etc. Okay, so here insert into employee table, first we need to mention the column name here, and values it has to be like this only. Then inside the value, whatever the value that you are going to insert, we need to mention it here. So now this value is going to match with the id, which is the first column that we have mentioned. Second value is going to match with the second field, third value is going to match with the third field, fourth value is going to match with the fourth field. Okay, now I will show you one more thing here. In case if I am giving one more value, now what will happen, it will throw you the error because the column count does not match with the field count. So whatever the value that we are mentioning here, it has to match with the column name, or whatever the column that you are giving here, it has to match with the values. If it is not matching, we will have an error here. Okay, so whatever the value that we are mentioning, that has to match exactly with the column name actually, like this. Okay, this is how we have to go with the insert query with our application. Okay, fine. So any other if any doubts in the insertion query, you can just put in the comments, I will explain you. Okay, so now we will go for the next one, which is called okay, like this we can create a number of data. For example, if you want to create some other data like this, Smith something, then instead of biology I will mention like history and geography. Okay, then enter it. As you can see, it is also working. Okay, so like this we can create a number of records in our application. Okay, so now we have created a table, and we have inserted the record as well. Now the next scenario that we are going to see is how to select the record in our application. So which means, okay, first we will see the PPT. Okay, so next one is about the selecting the record. Okay, selecting the record means now we have inserted a lot of records right into the table called employee. How are we going to select the record? So in order to select, we need to use select star from employee. So what this will do, this will select all the records from the employee table like this. Okay, this is what selecting the records from the table. So whenever you want to read the records from the table, we can go for the select star from employee, which executes a record in our table. Okay, so which means it gets the data from the particular table, and we can able to read it in our application. Okay, so now go to our next one, which is called this okay, in case there's one more scenario, here I'm providing a field name called department underscore name, which is absolutely correct from the table, but I don't want to use the department name, which is department underscore name. Instead I can use them alias name here, which means I have to mention the field name like id. It is also another way of implementing the select query here, id, name, department name, and then we can say salary. Okay, like this we can get executed. As you can see, I am getting the value, but instead of department name, I want to use the some other field, which means as department name. So like this also we can provide. Maybe I think again it's coming the same thing only, so I don't want to use this one. Okay, I will go for some other field. So instead of this, again I am going for the ID. Okay, just instead of giving a generic name called ID, I can mention like employee ID. Okay, so this is called alias name, so which will work only for the particular column. It is temporary one, this is not a permanent one. So now if I execute it, as you can see here, I am getting a employee ID and I am able to get all this ones. So now I can get all the field, but still this will not change anything in the table, but this we can use it for our readable purposes. Okay, this is just for our understanding. So this is how we can perform the select query from our table. Okay, this is kind of alias name that we can use it in our application. Okay, fine. So now this alias we will use it in the last one, which is called joining. So I will comment it now, because this same query we will use it in some other different purposes as well. Okay, so now we will go for the where condition. So where condition means you want to have some condition in your select query. For example, select star from employee. This is already we know, which is working fine. Okay, by executing the query we can able to get the data, but now I want to get the user whose ID is 101. You understood, right? I don't want to get all the users. I have some where condition. So in the where condition, I want to retrieve the user whose ID is 101. So here I have to mention where ID equal to 101. Okay. By executing this query, as you can see here, I can get only the record which has this ID of 101. Okay, I am giving one more ID called 1001. So now I will not get any data because there is no employee whose ID is 1001 actually. Okay, so this is how we have to perform our where class. With whatever the field that you want to use it, you can use it. In case if you want to use multiple field, it is also possible. For example, I will remove this condition now. Okay, I am just executing here. So now I am getting a select star from employee. Okay, so now I want to maybe I'll just change the salary, which is maybe for this guy I am providing. Okay, I cannot able to edit it. Okay, because this is one. Okay, okay, let's consider this one. So here I want to retrieve the guy whose ID is 10211 and his name should be Smith. Okay, then I can able to get this one. How come 10211? Oh, sorry, I have to use this and actually here. Okay, it's not that ampersand symbol. Okay, so now as you can see here, I am able to. It should match with the two conditions. Okay, I am giving one more thing. Instead of Smith, I will provide like Smith tests. Okay, so now I am not getting any data because even though the ID is getting matched, the next condition we are providing, which is called name. So like this, we can have a multiple conditions also. Okay, so if you want to use multiple conditions, you can use it. The same instead of and, if you want to use, that is also possible. So which means either ID or name has to match. Okay, it is also possible that we can use it. Okay, so now you understood the where, right? There is a lot of variations available in the where. This is just an example of the where condition here. Okay, so if you want to know other variations of the where, just put in the comments. I will just explain you here. Okay, so now we will go for the next task. Okay, which is called updation and deletion. So updation and deletion means now the next thing is about updating the record and then deleting the record. Correct. So for example, again go back to our the previous query. One second. I will remove the where condition now because to see all the records. Okay, so now I want to update the salary of the 101 guy. Okay, which means the second guy I want to update the salary. Okay, so for this thing, what we have to do, maybe first I will comment it this one, and we can go for update set salary. Say, or I think I will get an error here. 1 second, let me see. So I want to update as a 50,000 something. Okay, table name is employee, where ID equal to 101. Like this, we have to mention it here. Okay, yeah, just an example here. Okay, so now update table name, set the column name and the new value that you want to update and for whom you are going to update. Now execute it. As you can see, I will get an editor because this column is not a primary key, so that is the reason I am not able to update it. So okay, I will do one more scenario, guys. Once again, as of now I am not going to take this primary key, but I will take you one more session for this primary key as we are not concentrating on this one. Okay, fine. So now I am just performing this update now. Now it is working here. Okay, so what we are doing here is I'm just updating the salary, which is 50,000 for the guy or not 101. Okay, so now again go back to the query called select staff from employee. So uncomment it, execute it. As you can see here, his salary 101 is updated as a 50,000 like this. Okay, so this is how we have to perform our updation. Okay, so whenever we are performing updation, we have to use this ID field with the appropriate column name and then value. For example, I am giving a column called like this, but this will not impact anything, because if I execute the query, as you can see here, you can clearly see it is 0 rows updated. So 0 rows updated means, maybe in the response you can see here, you can see the 0 rows updated. 0 rows means there is no rows updated for the particular query, which there is no records match with the criteria. Okay, that's the reason I am getting this 0 rows updated. Fine. So the same way, now we have created a table, we have insert the record into the table, and we have select the record, and we have update the record also. Okay, so now the last thing is, as usual, we have to delete the record. Okay, so delete update will work in the same way, only somewhere we have to change, the little tweaks will be needed, which means to delete the record we have to mention delete employee, which means the table name PLOYAE. Okay, so sorry, there is one more keyword which we mentioned, delete from employee, where ID equal to 101. That's it. Okay, so now this will delete our record from the table. If I execute this one, as you can see here, the employee will be deleted. Now go to the employee and you can you can see this one. As you can see here, I am getting only one record. The next record will be removed from the table. So like this, we can able to execute our query. Okay, so this is how we can perform the delete in our application. So like this, whatever the column that you want to use in the where condition, we can use it. Okay, so this is how we have to perform all these things in our application. But I want to tell one more thing. So in between, I am just getting an error as we cannot update, as it is not an key field. So key field means it is called a primary key. Primary key means it is like that value should not get duplicate, and it should be like by default it is like a key field for the particular row. For example, this field 10211, right, this is a key field, this cannot duplicate in the entire table. So this column should be, this value should be available only for this row. This is called a primary key. So in case if I try to insert the record with this one, it will tell me the error here. For example, I am giving a insert into employee, I need to provide the column name, right? So ID, command name, department name, comma salary. Okay, LARY here, and then values I need to provide ID. I have to provide ID. I am giving a same ID like this. Okay, and then name I can provide anything, and then department also I am providing some chemistry, and then salary I am providing some random number I am providing. Okay, that's it. So this is how we have to create an insert query. Now if I execute it, it will throw me the error like this. Can you see this one? Oh sorry, spelling mistake. Okay, so now I have to execute this one. As you can see here, duplicate entry for the primary key, call this one. This error I will get it. So why I am getting this duplicate entry for this column means, because the ID which is 10211 is already exist. Maybe I'm just, you cannot see this one, right? Second this one. Okay, so if you see here, I am getting a duplicate entry 10211 which is already exist in my table. So it will throw the error. This is called primary key. There is a one more column called unique key which is also working in the same way, but for the primary key some more constraints also there. So but we don't have time to see all these things. So this primary key, that value should not get duplicate. That is the reason here that insertion with the same value, it cannot be possible. Maybe some other value we can provide. For example, instead of 10211 here, I can provide some other value called 1021 like this, means it will get executed. Maybe I am just showing in the two lines. So now I am having a insert into, one second. Now I am having a insert into employee table and then values. Both are same line. Both lines has to be executed simultaneously. If I execute it, as you can see here, it is successfully executed in my table. If I go to select star from employee, execute it, as you can see here, I am having a 2 column in my table. Okay, this is what the primary key. Primary key assures that the column value have to be unique. That is the advantage of primary key. Some more points also there, but just as a beginner, Primary key is just for to make sure that value should be unique. That's it. Okay. There's a one more column called unique key also. That is also working in the same way, but there is some minor difference will be there between the primary key and unique key. Fine. So now whenever you are going to delete or update the record, it is always must that we should mention the primary key here. Without primary key, if you're trying to update or delete, it will not work as per the MySQL current standard. It is possible that by disabling the safe mode, but whenever you want to perform any operation like update or delete operation, it is must that we have to use the primary key in the where condition. Okay, so there is a reason in between I just make the column as a primary key. So now then it works, this both update and delete will work. So in the where we have to mention the both update and delete in order to work properly. Okay, fine. So now the last scenario which is we are going to see the joining the table. So joining the table means in the two table we are having a different data, but one column has to be common between the tables. For example, this one. Okay, so I am having a mobile table which has ID as usual and then employee ID, mobile number. Okay, so each employee will have different mobile number. Maybe they may have a multiple mobile numbers also. Okay, first I will create the table, then I will tell you the question. So now I am going to create a new table called create table mobile. Okay, open bracket, close bracket. We need to mention the ID, integer, and then employee ID, which means for whom we are going to create it, integer. Okay, I need to mention the comma, and then mobile number. Okay, so for the mobile number I am going to use varchar. I am not going to use any number or anything. So varchar around 15 digit I mentioned, 15 characters we can use it for the mobile number. Okay, but here it is must that we have to mention the primary key as I told you. So I think we need to mention like here we need to mention, right, primary key, open bracket, close bracket, mention the column name. Okay, so like this we have to mention the primary key, but we need to mention comma here. Yes, okay, it is working fine, but let's see. I need to create a table now. Is it working? Yes, it's created, I think so. Let me refresh it. Yeah, mobile is created as you can see here. Let me expand it and check whether all the columns are created. As you can see here, everything is properly created, and we can check whether the ID is primary key. As you can see here, they mentioned as a primary key, so our ID column is mentioned as a primary key. That's it. Okay, now we will create the data into the mobile table. So now what I am going to do, instead of writing the query, I can just directly write the query, insert the data in the editor itself. So here I am just giving an employee ID, which is 10211. We have to mention the exact query here, sorry, exact ID, then only it will match. Some mobile number I am giving here. Okay, first we have to check what is the employee ID will be there. Once again, select from, okay, so 10211, 10221. Okay, this is the two employees are available, so we have to create the mobile number against this employee ID. So again go to here, 10211, he is having this mobile number. The same way I am creating a one more mobile number with this guy, so 10211, some different mobile number. Okay, so the same way another mobile number also we can create it, 10221, right? So for this guy as well I am creating some other mobile number. Maybe for him I am creating a 3 mobile numbers. Okay, because this will be useful, right? Okay, so now let me create it. Super. Why? Because we are not providing the ID, because ID is the primary key field, right? So we have to provide some proper value. I am providing 123. You can provide whatever the number that you want, but generally we have to use this common number here. Let me use apply. Yeah, now it will work. Yeah, so you can see now it is inserted. Now if I execute it one more time, you can see this is the employee and this is their mobile number. Okay, so now there is a one more table called employee table which we have already. So select star from employee. Okay, execute it. As you can see here, this is the employee table, this is the mobile table. So the common field between the employee and then mobile table is employee ID. In the employee ID is available inside the employee table as well as in the mobile table. Now I want to join the table. So how we can able to do it? So in order to do it, select star from employee. I can use some alias name here which is called as emp join mobile as m. You can use mob or something. because this, instead of writing the whole table name, we can use this like a some easy name to representation. Okay, see, this is a representation name for the appropriate table name. Okay, so now here we need to mention on, which is the keyword, that the common name, common column name. So employee.id, which is the from employee table, the column name is id here, equal to mobile table dot employee id. Okay, so now this is like a common table name. Okay, let me remove the second query. Okay, this is called a joining here. Now if you execute it, as you can see here, both the columns are clearly mentioned here. The first four columns are coming from the employee table, second four columns are coming from the mobile table. Okay, so now this guy is having a one mobile number called this one, the same guy is having one more mobile number, the second guy is having a three different mobile numbers. Okay, so now here also we can use if condition as, sorry, if condition, not where condition. So which means inside this one I can mention where employee id dot id equal to this one. Okay, so now if I execute it, as you can see here, I am getting a 2 rows from the particular table only with this employee. It will not take all the records. What it will do, it does the same operation but along with the where condition also. Okay, so this is how we have to perform the joining with the query as well. Okay, so this is how we can perform the simple joining query with the where conditions. But whatever we are seeing still now is just a sample for, sorry, very basics in terms of RDBMS. There's other operations also will be there. And if you want, you can just comment it in the comment in that video. I will explain you other advanced concept as well.